Hello, everybody. This is Angie Natalie. We are here for episode number 40 of Conscious Conversations in Parenting. Really, it's in if you're human, conscious conversations of being human, I would say. But today we're talking about staying in your own lane. And you have definitely, if you've been tuning into these videos, you've definitely heard all of us talk about staying in our own lane and the importance of that. And so we thought it would be really great to revisit this topic about staying in your own lane, especially within your household, because this can be it can be easier to stay in your own lane out there, in interactions with other people. But when in your own household, this still applies, staying in your own lane. So we want to kind of dive into that conversation. But before we do that, welcome. I'm Angie. I'm creator of Journey to Soul. And Natalie and I, started these conscious conversations because we were having conscious conversations, her and I. And they were so powerful and such cool downloads come through when we're having these conversations. And we awaken things, we awaken these remembrances within each other, right? And we get excited. Like you feel it's a very palpable energy. And you get really, really excited, and you get these new perspectives, and it feels nice to feel heard too, right? In your conscious thinking. And you need mirrors, you need these reflections. And so these are just powerful conversations. There is no right and wrong here. We're just giving you perspectives from our own experiences, from our unique lens that we carry. We all have a unique lens, and it matters, and it's quality, guys. It's like, you know what I mean? It has a place here. And we want to provide an avenue for that, for people to have that, to have that permission, just to have your conscious thinking heard and seen and felt. Anyway, so that's what this is about. And I'm a human, I'm a human that's doing my best to live a conscious life. And I've been on that journey for a long time, inadvertently and also very consciously. And I live this life, I navigate life through, like the labels of mom, wife, you know, um, and I find it tough. And so I find this helpful. And so that's why I'm here. Natalie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. And yes, I mean, obviously, I chose a human body for this life, and I navigate it as well through, my with my husband and my kids, which should be very intense experiences. We don't actually realize how intense everything is until we drop in. Um, but I really love these conversations because it's a safe space to share, and it's a safe space to share our conscious thinking. And I love that you brought this up because we may have other, safe spaces to share, with friends or family, but to really dive into like the deep stuff, conscious awareness, just having conversations with a community and people that know what you mean, or if they don't know exactly what you mean, like they can at least feel what you mean, and um, and I mean, it gives everybody here space to know that it's okay, like it's okay to create these spaces for yourself, whether it's virtual, joining us on these videos, or in person. Maybe there's a few people in your life that you really connect with. um, it gives you permission to build that safe space, and it also gives you permission, to talk about these things and to do it naturally, like to channel naturally. Like I channel all the time, and it's not, I don't have to go in a trance or anything. It just comes out of my mouth, you know. um, and and again, the more we create this safe space for others, and for ourselves, then there's all this beautiful knowledge that comes through, all these beautiful awarenesses,
Mhm.
that you can choose to apply or not choose to apply, right? I mean, take what resonates with you in these conversations, guys. And I'm really excited we're diving into stay in your lane, because that's like the thing I always say in every one of these videos. Stay in
I
your
know, I
lane.
feel like it is. It's like one of the most common topics that are like common things that are said, right? Just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Yeah,
It's hard. Yeah, let's talk about that. Why is it so hard to stay in your lane? Why do you think it's so
because the
hard?
programming that's been dumped on us.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't
You
that why
have to be
everything's hard?
involved in everybody's life, right? You're like the nosy neighbor peeking over the fence, or the mom that has to like cut up the grapes and like micromanage everything. Um, and that's what we're taught, right? Like that's what all the parenting books and just seeing how other like your family or your friends how they interact with their kids and their spouses, just the conversations that you have with people. Um, a lot of and maybe in my experience and in past experiences like it's not like stay in your lane, it's get the fuck so deep in that other person's lane you don't even know who you are anymore, right?
Oh my God, that's I think that's a very common experience because of the
Yeah,
programming though. This is not to shame and not to judge. This is the programming. Isn't that what women how moms have been programmed to be?
a busybody, right?
Yep. Yep. Getting involved in everything, being responsible for everyone in the household. I'm going to drop a little bit of a truth bomb and it may trigger some people. I don't know. But I got it. You know what? They have their own path for why they came here. They have their own lessons to learn, right? You are not responsible for them. There is nothing you can do that stops their path from unfolding, right? What's for them and their unique path. And when I say them, I'm talking about everyone in your household, children included, our spouses. Sometimes we live at home with our families that we were born into, or, caregivers we were born, raised with, right? They have their own unique path and unique soul lessons that need to play out. And honestly, when we try to control and get involved, we're interfering with it. We're interfering with it. And why we do it is we don't want to focus on our own path. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, we want to distract ourselves, right? I don't want to fix me, I want to fix that guy.
That guy needs
It's
fixing.
easier, and it's easier to see other people's unawarenesses,
Yeah.
like other things that it's easier to see what others are unaware of than it is to see your own unawarenesses, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
it's a
mean
distraction.
it's a distraction.
uh,
And I mean really that unawareness that we're seeing, whatever it is we're seeing in another, is actually like really an opportunity for us to see what we're unaware of. It's
yeah,
kind of pointing to, oh, you're noticing it here because it's something you have to dig into here.
yeah, like often in these types of conversations, especially when we're talking about responsibility and um like saying fudge you responsibility, um or detaching ourselves from that programming, a lot of times there's like resistance. Like when you were saying it, I felt it in my heart of like, but that's the mirror though. The mirror isn't um necessarily what Angie was saying, but the mirror, guys, was reflecting in my heart of like, okay, I relaxed my heart, right? Relaxed my
Mhm.
shoulders, and just get back into the present. Don't get sucked into those old stories. um yeah, like so much of it is programming, and again, it's like there's no shame, guys. It's okay to be programmed. I mean, every single one of us
We're
while we're in
all
a human
programmed.
body is going to be programmed with stuff. The difference is when you choose to live consciously, you get to create those, you get to choose which programs you want to detach from and which ones you want to create for yourself, and which ones resonate with you, right? And which ones you're not sure about, right? You kind of dipping your toe in and you're like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Like that's conscious creation is, or consciously awakening is choosing your own programming, because we're all
Yes.
programmed. That was the whole point. If we dropped in and we weren't programmed, well, what the hell was the point of dropping in, right? Because we have to move through these lessons. We have to, um, what was it that I was saying the other day to someone? Like, um, if the point of this, if our intention of coming into in this physical plane is to find our way back home, well, how can you find your way back home if you're never lost, right? And that's the same thing with these programmings. Is okay, yeah, like yeah, okay, yeah, society or generational programming or planetary programming made me do this and that. I mean, it's not about blaming or pushing the responsibility off to the external world, but it's just recognizing, like, I don't know, let's talk about like a big stay in your lane thing for me is like responsibility. Like, as a mother, a lot of us feel we have to be responsible for everyone, for the children,
Yeah.
for our spouse. And yes, especially with children, right? Um, because yes, to a certain degree, yes, you do have to be responsible for them. Like, you have to like buy them food if they
You
don't
have to
have a
feed them.
job.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to feed them
Guide
and shelter
them.
them
You
and provide them
guide
with this.
them.
You guide them, but do you necessarily have to, keep harping on them to clean up their rooms, or do you even have? Are you even responsible for cleaning up after them? Right? If you
Yeah.
don't want to, if that doesn't resonate with you, again, like Angie said, everybody has specific paths that they choose to walk
Be
through. Whether or not they're
forthcoming.
aware of it, that's not the point.
Mhm.
It's their path, guys. Focus on your path, focus on your lane. And a lot of times, staying in your own lane means just going in and recognizing what that mirror is. Like my example earlier when Angie was talking about responsibility, I felt it in my heart. Okay, well that's going back in. Because stepping out of your lane, stepping into someone else's lane is such a giant distraction from that
Huge.
internal work.
Huge. And it's discomfort. Like, I want to talk about this too. Responsible for, we often feel responsible for making somebody else's day good. Like, we make ourselves responsible for them having a happy life. And so we bend ourselves over backwards to make sure they have all these experiences and they have so much fun, and we do it to the detriment of our health. But here's the thing, like, here's the mirror there, right? You're trying to you're trying to do everything you can for them to not feel badly. That's you're running away from. It's your own feeling badly feelings you're running away from. And you're projecting it onto creating a happy life for them, right? So what does stay in your own lane mean? Stay in your own lane means start doing that for yourself. Do these things for yourself to find your joy in the present moment, find beauty, find happiness, and accept your feelings. You're human, guys. You're human. You are human, and it's not always going to feel good. This journey doesn't feel good. And your own lane, just because you have your own lane, doesn't mean it feels good. It's not a yellow brick road. It doesn't mean it feels good. It's not this golden road to. It's your own road, it's your unique thing, and all those feelings, all those things that maybe don't feel so great, remember what's born in them, right? That's why we came here. We came here to experience duality so that we could have these experiences on the whole spectrum. These ones here that feel crunchy, feel not so good, well, they end up awakening us to what could feel really great and what feels good. And that's, you know what I mean? So that is the reflection of we're trying to make someone else happy. It's like you're just trying to run away from your feelings because they don't feel good.
Yeah, run away from what you're meant to be doing, right?
Yes.
And something that came into my realization a few weeks ago was because often I would associate staying in your lane as mind your own business. You don't have to verbally engage or physically engage, whatever the situation is. But also staying in your lane also means you don't have to mentally get engaged. Like, you don't have to like think the thoughts like, oh, I can't believe he said this again, or like,
Yes.
oh my god, like why is this happening again? Like,
Yes.
or oh, this person did this, so this is gonna happen. Like, mentally attached to it, that is also stepping out of your lane.
Yes. And emotionally too, because
Yeah.
they feel
Mhm.
upset and you suddenly let it ruin your day. Let's say my husband's going through a lull, and he's having a dip. That's his journey. It's part of his journey. And so I used to be so caught up in how he felt that it would affect how I felt. And that's me not staying in my own lane. Like, I'm also, you know what I mean?
It is.
It's
Yeah.
we're multi-dependent dimensional. We talked about this in the last episode, right? In Manifesting 102 about being multi-dimensional. It is multi-dimensional.
Yeah, because we
Stay
have
in your
all these
own
different
lane.
aspects.
Yeah, stay in
We have the
your own lane.
physical, we have the mental, the emotional,
Yes.
especially as parents, that like, again, that programming is like we have to be emotionally involved in everything. And it's like, no, you don't. Like you don't. And at the beginning, it may even look like at the beginning, staying in your lane may look like not replying to someone's gossip, right? Like you're on the phone with your mom or whatever, and da, 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 da,
And just like leaving
just
it.
not saying anything. You don't have to say anything, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable as f at first, and that's okay. But you know what that does is it brings you into that higher vibration of not gossiping, and then eventually it just kind of weeds itself out of those conversations where you don't even have those topics with your
Come up
parents anymore.
anymore. Yes,
Yeah,
it
like
doesn't come up.
my chats with my mom are so completely different than they were like a few years ago.
Hmm.
Um, and again, because everything is evolving, you're choosing that higher path, right?
Yeah.
Of yeah, like not getting involved in everybody's.
In each aspect,
Yeah,
spiritual too, guys. We're spiritually
yeah,
evolving. We're spiritually evolving. Stay in your own lane too. Don't push any of your spiritual
yeah,
knowledge on other people. Stay, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's just
They're
gonna
gonna get there.
backfire
They're gonna get
and
there.
bite you in the ass. Yeah,
Exactly. And then now you're mentally engaged and you're emotionally engaged and like you're not in
yeah.
you're suddenly right in their lane, like
Physically,
getting
because you're like,
run
no, this
over.
incense will totally work.
Yes, right?
You need your aura cleansed like this.
Yeah, we need this crystal. And I've been there. I laugh because I've been there too, wanting to do that.
Yeah,
But I've realized
yeah.
like they'll get there. Everybody's getting there. Like that's the thing we don't understand about ascension is like the whole entire humanity's headed there, you know? We're just
Hmm.
all in different lanes and we're in different speeds and we're gonna get there. And can we just stay in our own lane? Can we notice that there's an urge to go into another lane? And that is just the
Yes,
ego and the mind.
yeah,
it wants to distract you from your lane.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's also that need to share, right?
Yeah, yes, that too.
Um,
That's
and
validation,
so
yeah.
yeah, and even like really nice things, like
Yeah.
beautiful things that we want to share. Like the other day, I'd gone away for a week and I had made myself an intention, no devices. Like it was like my own silent retreat, and the places that I had spent some time were so beautiful, and there was this urge
Mm.
to share of like, oh, I got to take a picture and send it to my mom or
Yeah.
whatever. And I recognized that urge, and it was positive, right? Like sharing beautiful things with someone, but just recognize it, right? Just recognize that that is a human need to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm in this human body. If I was in a dog body, I'd feel the urge to like get a fire hydrant or something.
Right.
But it's just a component of this physicality. Um,
Yes.
but again, so, and I don't want to digress from staying in your own lane, so I'm trying to find words to bring us back. But again, like understand that it's just an urge or a need to share or to help, right?
To
But
distract. It's
recognize
an
that,
urge to distract.
yeah, it's
And
okay
we
that you
can
just like
take
it's
it.
okay to recognize it.
And
You
it's
don't need
okay
to.
to
You don't
even
need
take
to.
it. It's
Yeah,
okay to share it. Like, you know what I mean? But that's what being conscious is. Being conscious is recognizing that there is an urge to share. And do
yes.
you
And
want
is
to
it the right
actually
moment
do
to
that right
share?
now? Is that what you want to do right now? Is that the highest
Yeah,
thing you could do right now?
yeah, yeah. Or
Sometimes
that
it's not.
lesson that you want to share, instead of sharing it, can you just implement it within yourself? Then you're whoop back in your lane, right?
Serving yourself and moving your ascension forward.
Yeah, because that serves others. I think a lot of times, especially as moms, why we step out of our lanes, why we get involved in everybody's beeswax, is because we want to help,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we do it out of the goodness. Usually, we do it out of the goodness of our heart.
Yeah.
But a big thing that we need to realize is the more and more we stay in our lane, whether that's through verbal or thinking or emotionally, the more and more we stay in our lane, we help ourselves, but we help those around us so much, even if it may not show up right away. It helps them so much because you're being such a tremendous example.
Yeah. And when
Uh,
you're always in somebody's lane, they're used to you being in their lane and you come in and like I said, This is something that we awaken to, right? This is something all each of us here have awakened to, is that you stay in their lane, you stay in their lane. You they don't have the space to awaken to anything because you're in their lane doing stuff, and it's like someone's in your lane, you're now paying attention to that. That's your, you know what I mean? You're paying attention to something outside of you. So they don't go in. Do you understand? So when you stay in your lane and you start doing that work going in, then they have suddenly this space, and guess what? They're more likely to go in, especially because you're showing them a blueprint of going in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're more likely to use that space to go in. But if you're in there constantly meddling in their lane, their focus is on you or on avoiding
Mm,
you, you know, because you're in their lane
yeah.
and they don't like it.
Yeah. And when we remove, oh, this is great, guys. You should write this down, what Angie's saying. Because then when we get out of their lane, then they're not seeing us.
So
They have
now
the
they have to focus
potential to
somewhere else.
see this space that was once you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're more
Whoa.
likely to go in. So you're more likely to get the results you're looking for from them when you focus on you. And this is the truth of
Yeah.
my experience over and over and over again. And you said it, it doesn't happen overnight, but let me tell you, like it doesn't happen when you're in their lane at all.
No. It's
Then
gonna
you
happen
just
a hell of a
relive
lot
patterns.
faster if you just stay in
Yeah.
your lane.
Yeah, it really will. And my
Yeah.
mentor
And then you
once said,
feel better about yourself and you're from that like negative codependency. That was something that was the word that was coming to me.
that's a good one we should do actually, codependency. That's a topic.
Yeah, the codependent. Yeah, you're just unplugging. I find that the more you stay in your lane, the more you start unplugging from all of these programs that we view as normal, or that at one point we viewed as normal,
Yeah.
right? Because everything is about, and that's not how you grow. Like a great example that we often see is, you plant a seed, and then when you dig it up, you think that, you know,
Right.
like the cucumber plant hasn't even grown yet. You
The
just drop
farmer
the seed
doesn't
in it,
dig
like
up the
leave
seed.
it alone, you know?
Leave it alone. It has its own process. It knows what it's doing, right? And that is people. That's the
Yeah,
reflection in nature that we are. We know what they're doing. We can trust, and that's how I'll like end this conversation. We can trust their journey too. We can trust their journey, but it
yeah,
requires us for them to discover their journey. We have to stay out of their lane. And we have to
yeah. Give them
recognize,
that space, right?
yeah, we have to recognize that it's just a distraction from our lane. So what is the conscious choice here? The conscious choice is to notice, be aware, accept that you're in their lane, move back into your lane, and just keep practicing it. Simple, right? Simple. It's not easy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts with that?
Yeah, I would say my final thought is, or my invitation to everyone is, I mean, it's sometimes it's easier to notice when you're physically getting out of your lane, like when you go and like, help someone, or you go and step into an argument, but also notice those non-physical aspects of stepping out of your lane, like those thoughts that you're thinking, um, you know, of anything, right? Like two people start an interaction and you're like, oh shit. Or, something happens and you're like, oh yeah, like this, now this is gonna happen, right? When you're stepping out of your lane, man, just let everything be, right?
Yeah.
Notice, and the instant you recognize that, boom, you're back in your own lane. So just keep
Yes.
practicing that.
And I would invite you two things. Drawing on that, when you go back into your own lane, notice what's going on in your own lane. Just notice what happens when you go back into your own lane. You may notice the urge to move back into another lane because you don't want to be here because it's not comfortable in your lane. Just notice it and bring love in, you know. it's uncomfortable. But just notice it because that'll bring awarenesses to you. The other invitation that I have is to look at the spiritual thing because we're talking about consciousness, and a lot of us are doing. If you're tuning into this, right, you're in that spiritual path, and you're awakening to things. And this is a very common thing, and I hear within families, right? It's like one is awakening and the other one isn't, and just notice the desire to go out of your lane to control them because you know better. And that's spiritual ego, and it's okay. Everybody has it, right? I think it's really important to notice it. Just notice if there is that element, if there is that wanting to school others or teach others what they're doing
Yeah,
wrong.
help them wake up,
Yes,
right?
yeah, what they're doing wrong, right? Because you were doing it wrong. And the invitation, what the reflection is there, is to stop judging yourself that you were ever wrong. You weren't wrong. It was just your path. You were just in the lane. That's
Boom.
when we stop making them wrong, when we stop making it wrong that we weren't awake. And that's the awareness I want to bring to you guys.
Very powerful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Gosh, these conversations are the best. If you like this video, please like it, share it with anybody. If you have communities, share it in your community. We would just love to reach more people. And every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we premiere the videos on YouTube, and at least one of us will be here to live chat. Yeah, and subscribe, hit the notification bell for that. And thank you for being here. Thank you for contributing your energy to this space. And Natalie, of course, thank you for always just bringing yourself to this. I love these conversations.
Oh, thank you, Angie. And thanks everyone. Oh, and happy 40th episode, Angie. Woo,
Oh, it's
woo.
40th episode. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for 44. That's one of my favorite numbers. So,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, 40 episodes. So amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Till next video. We love you. Be gentle with yourself, okay?